Good morning. It's Tuesday, December 31st, the last day of 2019. I'm Chasity Maxie. You guys know this guy.
Yeah, I think, right?
You weren't ready for that.
I was not. I was ready for you to go like the route of like, oh, it's New Year's Eve, yada, yada, tomorrow's 2020. Can you believe it's the end of the year?
I cannot. It's like the days are long, but the years, they just go.
That is a perfect, me and Carl were trying to figure out yesterday, we were like, okay, during the day, it seems like it takes forever. But then when you look at the grand scheme of things, it's like, here we are, 2020.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where this year went. Technically, in my mind, I think it's still March. Like, because it's definitely not December. As we usher in the new year, many of us will start making New Year's resolutions. According to CNN Health, roughly 40% of Americans will set New Year's resolutions. WTVY's Zach Wilcox spent the day asking people in Dothan what their resolutions are. He joins us back in the studio now. And Zach, how many people fail at completing these resolutions?
So Chastity, plenty of New Year's resolutions at the gym. It looks pretty exciting. There are a lot of people with big goals. I don't know, 6 months without sugar. That's
that's a tough one. That's an ambitious goal. I don't know if I could go 6 minutes without some sugar.
I know, right? I'm like trying to think of a day without a Coke. I mean, my goodness, I don't know if I could do it. But good on him. Hopefully he follows through. He seemed like he had the determination. But what about you? Any New Year's resolutions?
Actually, I would go to the gym more too, and I have to pat myself on the back. I did go to the gym this morning, so I'm off to a good start. And beautiful weather for those bowl games today. Meteorologist Matt Breland joins us now with our first look at weather. Matt? You got to take the sunshine and the rain, right? You can't appreciate the sunshine without the rain.
That is such a good point. That's a good metaphor. There you go. Think hard on that one, you guys. Happy New Year to you.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us for WRGX First News at 4. You're all caught up for now. We'll see you back here at 5:30. Take care. Celebratory gunfire led to injuries on New Year's Day. In Tuscaloosa County, one woman says she was inside her home when the bullet came through her roof and grazed the back of her shoulder. She reported hearing gunfire shortly before the incident. Deputies believe the bullet came from nearby celebratory gunfire. And in Montevallo, a couple woke up to find their windshield shattered. Rose Imfinger says she started hearing what sounded like gunfire around 7 o'clock last night. It continued on until around 2 a.m. Her car was parked near her front porch, so when she looked out her window this morning, she realized something was off.
Kept looking, I thought, it just don't look right. So I got my shoes on and went out there, and sure enough, it's like not a lot of something, but it was like a bullet hole.
The windshield is so damaged they can't drive the car. The couple has filed a police report. Meanwhile, authorities are reminding everyone that bullets shot in the air can come down with velocity, which could seriously injure or even kill someone. Alabama authorities have identified the body of a missing man who was pulled from Lake Guntersville this week. The Marshall County Sheriff's Office announced on Tuesday that the victim was Charles Kenneth Land. He was first reported missing on December 27th. Sheriff Phil Sims told news outlets Land's body was recovered on Monday from water near the Lake Guntersville Sailing Club Marina, about 50 miles east of Huntsville. Sims says preliminary forensic reports indicate foul play was not involved. The investigation is ongoing. An Alabama man is in custody charged in the death of a 72-year-old man whose body was found in a well. Sheriff's investigators charged 58-year-old Herbert Sprayberry with murder in James Edmund Clark's death. Investigators say Clark and Sprayberry were acquaintances. Authorities say an examination at the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences showed Clark died from being stabbed and shot before his body was dumped in that well. Clark had not been seen for 3 weeks before he was reported missing on December 19th. Health officials around the state are reporting Alabama has some of the most flu cases in the country. In the last few weeks, it's even gotten worse. People 65 years and older and young children have the greatest chance of getting the virus. Doctors say it's dangerous and you need to protect yourself as well as everyone else.
When you look at the cost of losing work or risking transmitting your infection to a grandparent or somebody else around you that's sick, it's worth the cost.
Doctors say the #1 way to stay healthy is to get a flu shot. You should also wash your hands thoroughly and often and avoid being around sick people. Alabama Governor Kay Ivey is praising Alabamians for the state's success in 2019. On New Year's Day, Governor Ivey released a video touting improvements in the labor sector, including the lowest unemployment record in the state. She also said Alabama had an unprecedented number of new and existing companies that invested in major projects. The governor spoke about how communities came together in, quote, true Alabama fashion in times of tragedy. She then ended her message with a shout out to Alabama's bicentennial and a wish for everyone to have a happy new year filled with joy and prosperity. Pope Francis started 2020 condemning violence against women and chastising industries such as advertising pornography for sacrificing a woman's body for consumerism. But of everything he spoke about, all anyone was talking about was how he reacted to one woman on the last night of 2019. Ann Thompson explains. With the start of the new year, some may be looking for a new career path. And the good news is some companies are in need of workers. Coming up on First News at 4, a look at one industry that's scrambling to find employees. But first, check out this view from the Dale County Courthouse. We'll be right back. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm WTVY's Chasity Maxie. We are here right now at the Life South Community Blood Center in Dothan, located at 3833 Ross Clark Circle. We're here for a friendly competition between our friends Pollard and Dave from B105.3. We're here competing for the most blood donations. And you guys, right now, WTVY is down by 1 point. They are beating us 26. We have 26, they have 27, and we can't let that happen. So you guys need to come out here and support this great cause. We're trying to fulfill a critical need for blood here in the Wiregrass. You know, we're here, this is a very important time of year. We just celebrated Thanksgiving, and many of you may not know this, but right after Thanksgiving, the Wiregrass Area Food Bank typically gets depleted around this time. There's plenty of time to collect food items for Thanksgiving, but then there's a quick turnaround for Christmas, which is why this event is so important. So we're looking for donations, and when you come, you guys, there is this beautiful ornament. It says Miracle on Foster Street 2019. It's gold with blue writing. If you're wondering what to bring items like stuffing, bring items like canned goods. We're looking for all of these items, and so we want to really beat our goal from last year, which was more than 180,000 food items. So please dig into your pockets. We'll be out here until 6:30. Tomorrow begins the first day of the new school year for Dothan City Schools, a first day that will bring many changes for students, parents, and teachers. Here with more about this important occasion is Superintendent Dr. Phyllis Edwards. Thank you so much for joining us on this early morning.
I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so let's jump right into it. Sure. Tomorrow is the first day, a lot of changes. How are we feeling?
We're feeling good. I think the school system, all the folks that have been working with me all summer have worked extremely hard. The buildings are ready with construction, the work that has been done. We've moved materials, we've moved furniture. All our teachers came together for the first time just the other day, and it was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for an opening day orientation to set the tone.
Obviously, you just said that the changes are complete, the exterior changes, and obviously,
yes,
it's going to be a period of adjustment.
It will be.
Once that happens, will you go back and make some other changes?
Oh, of course. I mean, as you do something along these lines, I mean, I don't think anybody really knows the depth of the planning and the work that we have done. That being said, there will be bumps in the road. There will be things that we'll have to go back and adjust. And we will do that to make sure that everything ultimately is smooth and is correct.
How are you feeling? I know that there's been, some pushback, obviously, with all of the restructuring, but how are you personally handling it? How are you feeling with all of this?
I personally feel fine. I feel like that we brought options to the board, that there were many public meetings, that everything was done as it was supposed to be done, that they were able to make their choice. I think they made courageous choices, and I'm very proud of the board. And we did what we said we were going to do.
Tonight, there's also a meeting a public meeting, talking about the budget, talking about the hotly contested cell phone policy. What can you tell us about that tonight?
Well, there's been about 4 or 5 iterations because we have listened to folks. I understand. I'm a parent, and of course, you always want to be connected to your child. But the principals have told us that, there really are some things going on with cell phones that we really need to get them out of the way. We need to have students concentrating. So the basic point that we're looking for is you can have your cell phone on you, but keep it put away.
They're working on it to assess the situation and to secure it and do what is needed to be done to transport it away from here.
The Sheriff Wally Olson is talking about is a pipe bomb that was found inside the sheriff's office Tuesday evening. After evacuating the building, the Dothan Bomb Squad was called in. Sheriff Wally Olson tells me that investigators were serving a search warrant for a duffel bag, and unbeknownst to them, they brought the pipe bomb inside the building.
We didn't know it was there, yes. We were processing evidence that we had recovered in an ongoing homicide investigation.
Thankfully, the building was virtually empty with the exception of the dispatch staff. Emergency calls were rerouted to Houston County 911. And Sheriff Olson says the evidence is part of an ongoing murder-homicide investigation. While he couldn't give specifics on the case,
I can say this has nothing to do with the Beasley Hollett murder.
Making for another busy night for law enforcement after a series of hectic days. In Ozark, Chasity Maxie, WTVY, your hometown news leader. Well, Reg, after a rather lengthy discussion about the referendum at that meeting, county leaders decided to table the request, citing several lingering questions about it, including whether funds could be authorized to go to private transportation operators, among other issues. Now, County Commissioner Brandon Shoup will also be absent from next week's commission meeting, and Chairman Mark Culver says before a decision is made, which will ultimately take money out of taxpayers' pockets, all commissioners should be present for the vote. Now, that money from this $5 tag fee would go to emergency management crews throughout the county and can only be used for life-saving measures. Houston County leaders say they have plenty of time to iron out the kinks. They say they want to make sure every I is dotted and every T is crossed before they make a decision.
Because ultimately this is in the hands of if this passes, this is in the hands of the citizens. So we want to be sure we answer all the questions. The EMS folks want to be sure they answer all the questions so that when you go to the polls in November, if this is on the ballot, that you know what you're voting on.
The request to approve the $5 license tag fee will be up for a vote at the March 9th Houston County Commission meeting. Reg? What was once a flourishing sanctuary of wildlife and forest is now a wasteland of destruction.
This is it. I mean, these are where the trails started, and you can't even get in there.
Trampling through wrecked and ravaged woods, Kim Taylor takes me on a tour of what's left of Chattahoochee State Park.
And if you went that way, you cross over a creek, and I don't think you can get too far down there.
It's been an emotional year for Taylor, who lives on the property with her family. Adding to the struggle, she's battling an illness and still working to piece together her life. The Category 5 storm caught her and her family off guard.
We did not expect what we got, a few broken limbs and all that. That's what we expected. We stayed here. We didn't really prepare. You could hear snap, crackle, and pop constantly, and as the ice spun over us.
And it would be weeks before some services were restored.
Civilians, not county, state, or anybody else, just people that live here are the ones that clean the roads. Got out there with their tractors, and everybody got on their little Gators, four-wheelers, Hondas, and went and checked on neighbors out here and started moving everything out of everybody's yards. And I think we were without power for almost a month.
And though Hurricane Michael may have destroyed a lot in this area, it never shook her faith.
God had his hand on top of the house. We were not hurt. The house was not hurt. Our vehicles got minor damage, but God was looking after us.
And now that Chattahoochee State Park is closed indefinitely, Taylor is hoping for another miracle.
I would like for the state and the county to be able to reopen it. I would love that. I don't see how that would happen or could happen.
But even if her hopes for the park never come true, her memories can never be shuttered.
We're gonna miss it. We're gonna miss it.
It's an eyesore driving down some roads in Houston County. On any given day, water bottles, cans, wrappers, and other debris strewn about the streets. Houston County Commissioner Doug Sinkfield says the problem is worse on the roads less traveled.
Just people can discard their litter out and not be seen by the public, maybe, and so those areas out in the rural areas seem to be the most litter that we're having to deal with.
Now I'm here on Sanitary Dairy Road, and the irony of that is this area right here is anything but sanitary, and that's why the Houston County Commission wants people to adopt a highway so things like this won't happen. The Houston County Department of Corrections used to allow trustees to pick up trash along county roads, but that became more of a liability for the county if an inmate got hurt. Now the county is turning to us to volunteer, and Singfield says it only takes a few to make a big difference.
We would like to start out with 5. That's not a lot right now. We would like to increase that and grow, but if we could just get 5 to start, maybe in 1 in each district, in their districts that we have, we have 4 districts here, but it would be very beneficial, I think.
And let's not forget there's a hefty penalty for tossing garbage out your window.
There's a fine, and there's a steep fine after about the 3rd offense. So it's against the law, and we just need to catch those that are doing it.
But it's not just about catching offenders. Singfield says it's more about taking pride in your community.
I know it's an ongoing problem, but we believe that's one of the ways to get our citizens involved that care really about the beautification of Houston County.
Keeping our roads cleaner 1 mile at a time. In Houston County, Chasity Maxie, WTVY, your hometown news leader. You might say Logan Cox has a way with chickens.
Most people used to call me the chicken whisperer for the longest time because I just whisper to chickens.
For the past 6 years, he's been raising prize-winning pullets, and there's nothing foul about it.
I've won about 4 or 5 times, first place in showmanship, just because of my Mr. Doug and all the leaders and just my experience. You can't win every time.
And Elizabeth McAloney is no spring chicken to this program. She's volunteered at the Chick Chain Workshop for 5 years and has ruled the roost for the past 4.
First place in showmanship. I've won Grand Supreme 1 year and then overall Grand 1 year.
Members of 4-H learned everything from the proper way to hold a chicken to washing and drying them. So here's how the chick chain works. These 4-H members received about a dozen or more chicks in the springtime. They're then tasked with providing water, grooming, and shelter for approximately 20 weeks. From there, they choose their best 2 pullets to display at a showcase and auction at the National Peanut Festival in November. Houston County 4-H agent Sheila Andresen says the program develops good eggs.
They need to read up and be knowledgeable of their bird, of their breed, of any questions a judge could ask them when they're presenting their bird. They learn so much with this, it teaches a little responsibility with that.
So what's the secret to raising a winner?
Try to make your birds look the best that they can. Showmanship is 50% of your score.
Pay attention and use all the techniques and just spend time and time with your chickens and don't just show up with a wild chicken.
And that's something to squawk about. In Dothan, Chasity Maxie, WTVY, your hometown news leader. Since 1994, the Watoto Children's Choir has toured all over the world, making a joyful noise and shining a light on the plight of orphan children in Africa.
We have 3 villages in Uganda which house over 3,000 children, and we have women in the neighborhood, over 4,000 women that we support.
The choir is part of the Watoto Church in Uganda, but as choir director David Atakunda says, the choir is about much more than singing.
We look after children, those that have been abandoned, those that have been orphaned, don't have parents to look after them, and also those whose mothers live in the community but are not in position to look after them. So we bring those children in our care.
Choir members range in age from 6 to 12 years old, and all have been orphaned by AIDS, abandonment, poverty, or war. Joanne Nakabira knows firsthand what it's like to be orphaned. She was brought into Watoto as a child. She now works with the program as a caregiver and singer.
It feels so good. You feel like you have a sense of belonging, that you have been through the system, you know how it works, and then you have seen yourself move from glory to glory. So you're like, you know what, it's my turn to help out my young brothers and sisters to see that they also flourish and be where I am right now.
But Watoto isn't just enriching the lives of the children it serves.
When I was still young, I didn't have any hope, but now I have hope that I have something forward. God has something forward for me.
The families that sponsor them are also enriched.
We've watched those children grow, graduate, move on to college, and other children come along to continue that role. So it's been a huge blessing to us.
Making the world a better place, one song at a time.